So hi everyone, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how you can use the Storyline SDK, which is basically we have a Python SDK available, and it makes your job a lot easier if you want to automate video creation tasks using the Storylines API, and also do anything, basically anything that is available via the API is wrapped around in a very simple to use SDK, which you can use, pretty simple to use, straightforward. So if you want to learn how to use the SDK, three things will be your best friend. So first of all, the Storylines platform, of course, because you need to learn how to use the platform, because if you do that, you will understand how the flow is. So for example, you have to get a hang of how in every project you have to import all the contents in the project. Go to the prompt tab, which is here, do a prompt, generate a storyboard, generate a voiceover, generate a sequence, and then do a render. So when you do that once, you will understand the flow, how the flow goes. You will understand that, okay, so in a project, we do have to create a prompt first before we move on to the storyboard. So we do have to create the storyboard first before we move on to the edit or the sequence, because if we just directly go and try to create a sequence, that doesn't work. And we have to have a sequence ready in order to render whatever we are building. So these are some fundamental things that you do have to learn, that will make your life a lot easier when you are trying to learn how to use the Storyline SDK. So SDK, as I said, is basically a wrapper around the API, and the API is also pretty useful and pretty easy to use. You can find a lot of information in the API documentation itself, especially this diagram. It actually explains to you that you don't need to create a project, then you don't need to create a prompt, storyboard, voiceover, sequence, render. By the voiceover is optional, but this kind of, everywhere you see this diagram, and it kind of drills it into your head that this is the flow, this is how the flow is. And if you follow this flow, everything will be really easy. So you can go and read through all of these. So these are really easy. For example, other stuff that you can find in the introduction, we talk a lot about the AI parameters. And these are also really important, which tells you what the parameters are, what it does. It also talks about, it also teaches you that, any AI job that you do using any of the route or any of the endpoint in Storylines contains these parameters, which controls how the AI will behave and how good the results will be, how fast the results will be, or how accurate the results will be. In this case, I'm talking about the web search, because if you turn on the web search, it will be accurate. If you turn on the eco mode, it will, consume less resource, less power, and it will be much faster. So these are some stuffs that you do need to learn and understand. But once you have it in your head, you can actually notice a similarity between the front end and the API that we have. And I know I'm talking about the API in a tutorial where I should be talking about the SDK, but you don't need to understand that here the different tabs are basically different routes in here. So here we have the storyboard tab, which is basically the storyboard route. We have the edit tab, which is basically the sequence route. The voiceover tab is basically the voiceover route, and the render tab is basically the render route. So whenever you are using the SDK, things are also pretty similar. So let me show you. So I'm going to kind of come back to it, but you can see that you do need to kind of create an object of the Storylines client in order to use the SDK. And after you have created the Storylines client, I can just do a client.project.create project. And this client.project is very similar, because you know what a project is. And in API, we do have a project route. So you can see that since this is a wrapper around the API, we are basically going into that route and executing that endpoint that we have. Nothing much. Similarly, I'm accessing the prompt route and creating the prompt. So as you can guess, if I want to do something in the storyboard, it will be client.storyboard create_storyboard. So you can start to see a pattern here, and you can see that we do have some of the AI parameters that we talked about, and these are the same for everything, any AI endpoint that you're using. Similarly, we can actually wait for storyboard, because this is basically something, this is a function that we have. This basically polls for you, and each and every route has one, most of them. Because generally you do need to kind of build the polling logic on your own, but we have built it for you. This is simple one. If you want to build your own one, you can do it. Similarly, sequence client.sequence, we have client.render, wait for render, similarly a polling logic in this function. And when everything is completed, it's yours. You can actually get the streamable URL, downloadable URL, and you can download the video, and the video is ready for you. Now, I'll go back to the top and explain everything to you, but I do want to reiterate the same thing again. This is another flow validation. You don't need to upload all the files. This will be done using the files route. So you can see here in the files route, we have we can generate upload link. We can register that file after we have uploaded it, and you can see I can create folders and do a lot of stuff. This is also available in the, let me show you. As you can see, as I showed you just now, it is a files route, right? It should be available in here. I think it's named as storage here in this case. So yeah, the storage route. So yeah, the storage route, and we have created the wrapper for all of that in storage.py. We have hold on, what functions do I have? So we have the constructor, we have, let me get all of these out of the way so you can have the wait for file processing. This is basically the polling logic. In case of file upload, we have generate upload link, similar stuffs. We have upload file, which does everything for you, I guess. Then upload and process file bulk, so you can bulk upload using this function. So you can see a lot of similar stuffs that we have here. So if you kind of learn how to use the Storylinez API, it will be almost similar to how to use the SDK. Now, maybe all of these that I talked about right now is not that clear, right? So what you can do is that you can actually go into the examples, and in these examples, we have everything that you ever need to know in order to start creating videos, in order to start organizing your media, in order to search, in order to kind of perform advanced search across your content or whatever you're using Storylinez for. Everything is exposed, everything is here in proper examples. So let's take an example of the file thing that I talked about, right? The storage route. So let me search for the storage_examples, right? So in here you can see I have created the object, everything is here. So proper prints, a really cool menu driven program to kind of teach you on how to upload files and do everything. This purely uses the SDK, so you can actually read through it in order to understand how you can use the SDK to upload a file, process file, fetch all the detailed processing information that the AI provided to you, and like AI extracted from the video. And also you can perform bulk upload using it. You can see I'm performing the upload here. Now, this is just for the Storylinez, this is just for the examples, but if you want to kind of get a complete picture on how to create a video from start to end, you can actually go into the scripts folder, and you can see we have a bulk content uploader, which is really cool. And this is also a really cool CLI tool which does everything for you in terms of bulk upload. So if you want to, of course, if you want to upload anything in bulk, you can use the tool that we have in the content folder. So this is the bulk upload here. But if you want to use a CLI tool, this is actually a full-fledged tool. This is not something there just for tutorial purposes. This is basically something that you can use to bulk upload all the contents. Similarly, we have the auto builder. We do have a auto builder Jupyter notebook file using which you can get not only the information on how to use the SDK to go from start to finish and create a complete video including voiceover, but also how you can create a project, you can create a prompt, and also how to generate video ideas, because the Storylinez platform not only helps you create video, but it has all the necessary tooling so that you can just create a video hands-free, using a click of a button. it generates video ideas, performs vector search, searches through your media library, searches through stock media library, anything, and automatically adds everything to the project. So you don't have to do anything manually. So all of those functionalities are actually explained in this Jupyter Notebook file. And similarly, you can see all of the raw output is also printed out so that you can actually learn about what schema, like what structure the output is, what where you get what stuff when you run the SDK or when you run the API, because as I said, the API is wrapped in the SDK. So we use the same API. So yeah, auto fetch and wait, everything is actually explained here. You can search for stock media, everything. You can see all of the raw content are properly printed and saved here, so that you can learn about where to get the where to get whatever you're looking for from. So that is all. You can see I actually gave you an idea on where to find certain stuffs and where to look for in order to learn, because of course it's not possible to go over everything in a tutorial. The best way to learn is you going into these files that we have provided and tinkering with it to see real life examples in order to learn how it works. And of course, we have a full-fledged documentation. Anything that you need, if you think that okay, we need certain new addition into the documentation because it might be problematic for people to understand, you just drop us an email and we'll update it. So we have a really good documentation. We have proper example files for everything that is in the SDK. We have a full-fledged script that we used using the SDK, and also we have a guide folder. If you go into the guide folder, you will have a lot of different proper full-fledged guide. So let's say how to use the edit tab. Right, this is basically a front-end guide though, but you can actually go into the how to make API key, how to upload media, on where was it. There is a how to use SDK as well. This is the tutorial that I'm talking about right now, but you will get a lot of written notes about how you can actually go about creating using the SDK file, SDK library, Python library, and yeah, that is it.